Our speaker is Cate Boone from California State University in Los Angeles, United States. Today, she presents her talk on the topic, How Love Styles Are Associated with Romantic Beliefs and Dysfunctional Relationship Beliefs.
Hello, my name is Cate Boone, and I work with Dr. Pamela Regan at California State University, Los Angeles, in the United States. My presentation is titled How Love Attitudes Are Associated with Romantic Beliefs and Dysfunctional Relationship Beliefs. Several scholars have proposed love taxonomies, and one of the most common is called the colors or styles of love, proposed by sociologist John Lee. And Lee proposes six different love styles, which is defined as a characteristic orientation that reflects a person's attitudes and typical way of responding, such as feeling, thinking, acting, toward love partners and in love relationships. So he proposes three primary styles and then three secondary styles. And each of these secondary styles is a combination of two of the primary love styles. So first, Eros is very driven by romantic intent and passion. There's a strong connection and emotional depth in these relationships. Next is Ludus. This is classified as a game playing love, where a partner wants low commitment and low emotional intimacy. The third is Storge. This type of love is deeply grounded in friendship, and it's driven with a companion intent. Um, Pragma is the first secondary love style, is a combination of Storge and Ludus. And pragmatic lovers will create a list of qualities that they want in a partner and want to find someone that fits all of those qualities. Next, mania is a combination between Eros and Ludus. Mania is driven by a possessive and dependency on the partner, and there is a lot of emotional extremes, emotional fluctuation within these relationships. And lastly, agape is a combination of eros and the storge. And agapic lovers are characterized as people who will give all to their partner and not be expecting reciprocity or reward for what they give. There's been a lot of research on love styles, and the most widely used and empirically validated measure to assess the varieties of love is the Love Attitude Scale, referred to as the LAS. This was developed by Hendrick and colleagues. And this scale and these researchers conceptualized Lee's love styles. And this scale has been used to assess individuals' endorsement of each love style. And most of this research focuses on demographic correlates, such as gendered similarities and differences. However, there is very little research on the intra-individual correlates of love styles, such as our thoughts, our feelings, attitudes that we encompass and we hold in our love relationships due to our endorsement of love styles. So these theories and conceptualization show that there's a presumed cognitive component based on the descriptions of these love styles. So the goal of this research is to explore the cognitive correlates, and we use two sets of interpersonal relationship belief systems. One of them, romanticism, and the other dysfunctional relationship beliefs. And these are the two systems that are empirically reliable and validated, and they also map on quite well to the love styles and the love attitudes that are proposed by researchers. So first, romanticism. These are the idealized characteristics of our romantic partners and our romantic relationships. The most commonly used scale is called the Romantic Belief Scale. I'll refer to this as the RBS. This was developed by Sprecher and Metz, and it assesses these four tenets of romanticism that are listed here on the screen. And then scholars have also proposed some maladaptive assumptions about romantic relationships or our romantic partner. These are assessed by the Relationship Belief Inventory. I'll refer to this as the RBI, and this was developed by Idelson and Epstein. This scale assesses these five maladaptive or dysfunctional beliefs about relationships, and they're listed here. So our research questions and hypotheses. Our first research question is to what extent are love attitudes and romantic beliefs correlated? We predict that scores on the erotic and manic subscales of the LAS will be positively correlated with scores on the RBS. And this is due to the emotional and passionate nature of both Eros and mania. Next, scores on the ludic and pragmatic subscales of the LAS will be negatively correlated with scores on the RBS. And this is also due to the fact that ludus and pragma do not really emphasize emotion. They have their own set standards for the potential interest in a romantic partner. Our second research question, to what extent are love attitudes and dysfunctional relationship beliefs correlated? Our first hypothesis is that scores on the manic subscale of the LAS will be positively correlated with scores on the RBI. This is due to the fact that mania is the most unrealistic or undesirable subscale, and that might focus on these extreme beliefs that might hinder a relationship. And our second hypothesis is that scores on the Storgic subscale of the LIS will be negatively correlated with scores on the RBI. And this is because this form of love is established through strong friendship, and individuals may understand their partners a little bit more and not be as likely to face rough challenges. All right, so we had 604 student volunteers from a variety of psychology courses at Cal State LA. Our age range of participants was 18 years of age to 69 years, with an average of 25.2. A majority of our participants were women, Latino or Hispanic, and I'd also identified as heterosexual. This study used a non-deceptive and anonymous survey, and participants were given three scales to assess these three variables. First, the love attitude scale. This scale assessed love style in the form of love attitudes, which is what the conceptualizations of love styles. Um, Participants received six scores, one for each love attitude. And here are some examples on the screen. Next, romantic belief scale. Participants received four scores, so one for each belief, one for each romantic belief, and then a total score for the entire scale. And some examples here. And the relationship belief inventory. Respondents received five scores, so one for each belief, and then also a total score. And here are some examples as well. All right, so for results and discussions, recall that our first research question, what is the association between love attitudes and romantic beliefs? So our first hypothesis was supported. Eros and mania did have a positive correlation with romantic beliefs, and this was due to that Eros and mania have the most emotional and passionate characteristics. Our second hypothesis, however, was not supported. Ludus had a negative correlation with romantic beliefs, but this was not statistically significant. However, the correlation between ludus and romantic beliefs was in the predicted negative direction. And an explanation for this would be that ludic lovers do not emphasize passion, and they kind of encompass an emotional restraint in their relationships. We also expected pragma to have a negative correlation. However, pragma was actually significantly positively correlated with romantic beliefs. And an explanation for this could be that an underlying third variable, such as relationship well-being, might produce this relationship. Pragmatic lovers may be satisfied with their relationships because they carefully chose their partners. Perhaps they feel more stable and able to show more passion. We found additional significant correlations, such that storge and agape were also significantly positively correlated with romantic beliefs. This may be due to the idea of storge and agape um, being positive in nature, and so is romantic beliefs. Our second research question, the association between love attitudes and dysfunctional relationship beliefs. Our first hypothesis was supported. Mania was significantly positively correlated with dysfunctional relationship beliefs. This does make sense according to theory, because it is the most unrealistic and problematic love style or attitude, due to the possessiveness and the emotional fluctuation. Next, our second hypothesis was not supported. Storge was negatively correlated with dysfunctional relationship beliefs, although this was not statistically significant. However, it was in the predicted negative direction, and was most likely because Storge does resemble a strong friendship in the partnership, and perhaps these individuals are more at ease or more satisfied in their relationship, resulting in being more comfortable with facing challenges. We also found some additional significant correlations. Ludus and pragma were significantly positively correlated with dysfunctional relationship beliefs. This may be because ludic lovers and pragmatic lovers have certain standards and expectations for their relationships. Ludic lovers want no commitment, little intimacy, and pragmatic lovers want specific sets of chosen qualities. Maybe this leaves room uh, for disagreement or disappointment if someone does not follow these standards, and thus resulting in these dysfunctional relationship beliefs. And next, Eros and agape were significantly negatively correlated with dysfunctional relationship beliefs. This does reflect the emotional and positive nature of Eros and agape, and lover, um, which these are lovers that might not find significant challenges within their relationships. Strengths and limitations. So some strengths about our study is that it did address a notable gap. It does examine the cognitive correlates of love styles through our conceptualizations of love attitudes. We found support for Lee's theory of love styles and also Hendrick and colleagues' conceptualizations of these constructs. Some limitations include our sample demographics. We did have a sample that was mostly women, Latino and Hispanic, and heterosexual. So we would want to cast a wider net of participants, so we can have a more generalizable results to the public. And next, if we do assess for relationship satisfaction or well-being, we may be able to gain a little bit more information about why these relationships between love attitudes and these beliefs exist. There are some recommendations for future research. Researchers should evaluate changes in or the consistency of love attitudes and relationship beliefs. So are there new beliefs or behaviors? Can they change an individual's endorsement of specific love attitudes? We can use longitudinal studies to ask participants at different stages of their relationships and see if they begin believing in new beliefs or endorsing new love attitudes. And next, researchers can examine the trajectories of love attitudes and relationship beliefs. Um, so, does a certain endorsement of love style predict an individual's beliefs? Or do we hold certain beliefs, which then in turn will establish our love attitude? Here's a QR code if you would like to scan and look at the full length scales that were used in the study. All right, thank you. Please let me know if you have any questions, and here's my contact information.